Dublin, Ireland, we take a giant step up in weight. Miller, 33, 3 years younger than Heath.
We welcome you to the point here in Dublin, Ireland, as we have a big night of action coming your way, and it's all brought to you by Frank Warren Sports Network and Don King Productions, as sponsored by Adidas and M.B.C. At this time, we present a World Championship title attraction coming your way. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Association, the president, Gilberto Mendoza, supervisor at ringside, Aurelio Fiengo, along with the Boxing Union of Ireland, the chairman is Nick Moore, president Mel Crystal. Introducing to you the judges, scoring this
Cal. Will Nate Miller, traditionally a slow starter, live up to his pre-fight words to us and take Heath out early? And in all due respect to Heath, you have to question how a 9-3-2 fighter gets the green light for a world title shot. Once again, reason is overruled. If anything, Heath should be loose. If he loses, well, it's expected. If he wins, it's an upset, and he is the champion.
And this is his second world title shot. Well, I'll tell you, he said that Orlin Norris, as well as Robert Daniels, the former cruiserweight champion, who I beat for my title, both said he had the hardest hand. He hit him harder than anyone ever. We'll see.
He may not have hard shots if he doesn't get started a little bit better than this.
Well, when we asked Miller what he knew about Heath that could work to his advantage tonight, he said very little, but that he planned to as possible. James Heath, the challenger, is in the all-black trunks. Nate is in what looks to be purple trunks with gold trim.
Nate's working the right hand to the body. He's reaching around a little bit because he keeps holding on.
Meanwhile, Heath told us he feels that Miller right hand and the left hook, which just about covers it all, I guess. He says he needs to step to his own right and hit Miller with his right hand.
Obvious almost immediately is the great condition of the champion, Nate Miller, and sort of the floppy condition of Bossman. You see the little roll of fat, Bobby, around?
I've learned to not always tell by that, because guys like Buster Mathis come in and throw punches for 12 rounds, and they have a lot of it, or appears to be, and when you get in a bigger weight, sometimes you can't lean that body out as much.
Yeah, well, you picked that.
Oh, brother. And the boss man on the cabbage.
I don't think he's in trouble. It was more of a slip down, but he did get hit with a punch.
He walked into a nice left hook. He got hit with a combination, and a hook turned right in.
So our first knockdown, it came with about a minute remaining in round one. And Nate Miller goes right back to the body and to the head as Heath tries to square up and regain his composure. Miller again boring into the body.
With that right hand is going right over that roll of fat and pounding in those ribs.
He was saying that, you know, you always have that poker face. You never seem to be in a hurry, never even seem to get upset. He said that's just part of my personality.
It does take him a while to get heated up, sometimes 5 to 7 rounds.
Yeah, he has no trouble getting started in this fight.
You know, he's not even really working him behind when banging that right hand to the body and tearing the left hook up inside.
And there's the bell to end round one. Corner of James Heath, talking slow and low, very calming influence, telling the boss man not to worry about what happened. We'll see if it affects him heading into round number 2, scheduled for 12. But by the looks of things, that would be most. Heath has been boxing for nearly 20 years as far as the assistant police chief of the Monroe Police Department. Pushed his son to box in the police at.
Heath's trainer said, you know, he said, use that jab, working behind the jab. He said, doesn't look like Nate wants to be here a long time. He's in a little bit of a hurry. Take your time. Well, he may take his time, but he's got.
Yeah, and it's not good news that he's not much of a, I mean, doesn't want to be here long. That just means he wants you to get knocked out fast. And so that's not good.
Okay, no more. Picks it up on the inside, fights in spurts, bursts of energy. Does not normally apply consistent pressure, not what you call a high. It's mad.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, he does not forget the body. He does not neglect the body.
So far, James Heath, the challenger, being clearly overmatched, but there is a poking left jab by Heath, but then he lets himself open with a counter by Miller. And a left hook that tags Miller on the face.
You know, he got his attention with that a little bit. You can see that Heath has comparably heavy hands, but he's not throwing those punches, not turning in, not generating any good speed with them for the power that he wants.
He seems much slower and a different quality fighter than Miller off this first round and a half.
About a minute left in round number 2 for the WBA Cruiserweight Championship. Nate Miller on the right, James Heath on the left. Miller the champion.
Okay.
Miller 28-4 with 24 knockouts, his 3rd title defense. Heath just 9-3-2 with 7 KOs, and tonight, believe it or not, with that record, his 2nd world title shot.
Now, that is in itself amazing.
Well, it's a good description of what's happening in your former division, the cruiserweights. It is a desert down there. There's just nothing going on there.
It is dry. Less than 30 seconds. Round 2.
It's the wasteland before the promised land, the heavyweight division.
It's the wasteland before you put on the wasteland and get up to the heavyweights.
Okay. Break.
James Heath's problem could be waistline, not wasteland.
Yeah.
Final seconds of the 2nd round.
Yes, that's all. No more.
Round 3 scheduled for 12 for the WBA Cruiserweight Championship. Heath comes out.
Okay, break.
Swinging, wailing away, but having no effect on Nate Miller, who goes right back to the bodies. Heath just throwing wildly, trying to land.
You know, Heath is at least putting himself in play, putting himself in a position to connect and possibly win. And that's about all you could ask him right now. He seems to be a little outclassed, but trying.
Yeah, he's got to go toe-to-toe, Bob. He's got to get some. If he has got that power that they say, then he's got to bring it to bear, because he can outbox Miller. Not in a million years he's going to outbox this guy. But you got to get into a fight with him and take his chances.
Okay.
Heath certainly hadn't shown in the first 2 rounds that he was deserving of this shot. Trying to show a little more pop in the 3rd.
Okay.
And Nate Miller's corner told him to use the left hand, wake it up. Sleep, wake it up, use it more, put it together with the combinations that Heath is ready to go. And Nate is still somewhat in that poker face mode. He's just taking his time, as he always does.
But he has used it a little bit more, Bobby, because he's jabbing and hooking off the jab, which he wasn't doing before. He's getting some work in. Ooh,
nice right uppercut.
Nice one. That was good.
Heath was down at 158 of round number 1, incidentally conspicuous by their absence in the VIP section there. They're waiting for the Prince Nassim Hamed fight. And so many of those seats have yet to be filled as Nate Miller unleashed a bit of a barrage there and continues to have his way against James Heath, just spinning him around at will.
You know, Nate threw a nice combination under and over down the middle, and he connected with all of them. And Heath was, in my opinion, in a little bit of trouble and ready for the fleet. He could have stepped it up and hurried a little bit in that position.
I agree with Bobby. I think this guy's ready for the day. He's wearing out. He's wearing down. Certainly that body attack of those first 2 rounds. And what looks like a guy not in great shape is doing his job. I mean, that's what's doing his job here.
And Heath getting it on the left side of the face from a straight right by Nate Miller. Miller looks to be toying with Heath, who telegraphs his punches. Miller easily able to get out of the way defensively. And there's a hard left hook to the head by Miller.
No, this isn't the type of fight that Nate Miller wants to go long. Not because it would jeopardize him. A fighter like James Heath comes in and takes him deep. It's going to be difficult for him to get bigger paydays based on that type of performance.
Final seconds of round number 3. Another round for the champion, Miller.
No more. Come on, sit down. There you go. Okay. Now, give me
Bob Miller, who's the trainer in the corner of James Heath, exhorting his man Heath on, using all kinds of strategies, saying, hey, remember the kids. He has 8 children, and he promised his kids that he'd bring the WBA Cruiserweight belt back home to Monroe, North Carolina, where he's also a worker on the docks. Appropriately, tonight's venue located down on the docks here in Dublin. And this place might be reminiscent of a site that Nate Miller is accustomed to fighting at, the old Blue Horizon in Philadelphia. Oh, right uppercut.
What a right uppercut.
That was a well-timed uppercut. Nate just hung inside. He laid for him, used his leverage, and tore right up the middle. And to Heath's credit, he took it well.
He did. Boy, that was a good one.
Heath showing a pretty good chin. That was a solid uppercut by Nate Miller. Miller undefeated in his hometown of Philadelphia, 21-0 with 18 knockouts. here in the intimate surroundings of the Point Theatre in Dublin, Ireland. And once again, Nate Miller going to the body and then to the head.
See, his trainer kept telling him he's got a jab, single jab, double jab, to set up some of his combinations that Miller's unloading and trying to counter, but he's not doing it effectively.
Well, he's fighting more of a defensive fight than an offensive. He's not taking it to him with both hands. And so, therefore, he's getting belabored. I mean, because the other guy's much better and much faster.
Miller won the title in '95 with an 8th round knockout of Orlin Norris in nearby London, only about an hour away from Dublin here.
And you remember that fight, he sort of bored you to death at the beginning. You thought, well, what's this guy? When's he ever going to start fighting? When he did, he won.
He finally started to come on in the 6th round. And if you recall, Norris suffered from dehydration, was on his back for several minutes at the end of the fight.
Well, rumor had it that he had to lose those 30 pounds in just 30 days, that it was a fight that he didn't want to necessarily take right away, but the opportunity presented itself. Nate, very patient, took his time, saw the opportunity. When it came, he lowered the hammer, and to his credit, did the right thing.
It was Miller's 2nd world title shot, having lost to Al Cole for the IBF Cruiserweight belt via decision in '94. Cole recently vacated the title to move up. Again, Miller with a mini barrage to the head of Heath. Heath looking to unload. Less than 30 seconds in round 4. A game, at least, James Heath standing in there, but getting punched. And there's another short, crisp right hook by Miller that landed. Now Heath just hanging on.
Yell at him. You want to be here all night, or can we go home now, please? Let's finish this thing.
That would be Stan Williams in the corner of Nate Miller. Well, round 5, Nate Mr. Miller, as we mentioned, an admitted slow starter, and though he did drop Heath in round 1, he is now entering the rounds when he's most dangerous. We'll see if he follows through against the challenger, James Heath.
And I agree with Bobby. It impacts on his on what he can demand for himself. You can't put a guy away like this, and his demand, the demand of paying big money is not there. I mean, he's got to show excitement. You got to show something.
Well, this is emblematic of the way Nate Miller fights, although now he's starting to pick it up. This might give you incentive to come back to cruiserweight.
I'd have to probably cut off the thigh, though, and I'd really rather fight with both legs. I'm happy where I'm at for now, and we only have about a year and a half or 2, and we're out.
Okay.
And besides, it's still that wasteland, because now there's pretty much only Nate Miller there. Al Cole's even gone. There's some names there that I've never even heard of, and I follow the game. It's a very difficult division to succeed and make money, and succeeding is difficult enough as it is.
Ralph Gianni, household name. Marcelo Dominguez, household name.
Exactly.
Those are the other cruiserweight champions, folks.
And in the meantime, this grinds on in a sort of restless kind of fashion, control of trying to put the other one out, whereas the champion, Nate Miller, should. And the other guy can't avoid it.
One knockdown in the first round as Heath went down. He has been down and out before. Nothing new to him. Miller knocked down once by James Waring back in 1990. He has never been knocked out. But even though Miller is outclassing Heath here, he is not able to put him away. There's a twisting right uppercut by Miller, but having little or no effect on Heath. Now a combination by Miller, backing Heath into the ropes.
Okay, you know, sometimes appears to not even be on the page to play, that he doesn't totally train for a hard and fast-paced long fight, as opposed to just not being there emotionally.
It might be emotional. He looks like he looks like he's got it there, but he's a slow starter, and we said it, and he's showing it to us.
Heath comes back with a left hook, but a counter shot by Nate Miller. Heath all of a sudden comes alive, but Miller backing up unleashed a right uppercut that connected.
Heath landed a couple of pretty decent shots, one left hook and one right hand, that certainly got Miller's attention.
That was the first kind of good thing that you've seen.
Round number 6 scheduled for 12 for the WBA Cruiserweight Championship, another factor now to take into account, although the cut is under the eye of the boss man. It was a straight right by Miller, and then Miller gets tagged. He opens himself up from a right hand by Heath.
That was a driving good right hand. It stood up. The champion, Nate Miller, stood him straight up.
I'll tell you what, there you saw Heath trying to counter there again with the right hand. There's another left hook and right hand. He's fighting back now. He's making a street fight out of it.
And that's what he should do. That's what he should do. Exactly what he should do.
Heath just looking to open this thing up and wailing away at Nate Miller.
Who continues his disinterested way. He doesn't look like he's involved in this.
Well, we keep hearing that Heath is a hard puncher. He certainly needs that now here in round number 6. That's the best flurry of the night by the challenger, James Heath. But back comes Nate Miller. Looks like Heath has already run out of gas after that flurry.
You know, something else you have to take into consideration. Heath has taken all of the punishment. The absorption factor will be taking its toll, if not now, shortly.
The accumulation of punches by Nate Miller perhaps taking its toll. Miller, who won 18 of his first 19 fights, have cruiserweight title. Miller experiencing his first and only knockdown in the first round. And 5 months later, he lost another close decision to Al Cole. Again for the NABF crown. He would lose a decision to Cole again 6 fights later for the IBF Cruiserweight title before knocking out Orlin Norris last summer for the WBA belt. In between his 2 losses to Cole, he retired 2-time world champ Dwight Cowie by a 10-round decision. Straight right hand by Nate Miller. And a right uppercut, but a grazing blow by Miller.
You see, right now, Heath is showing you the signs of fatigue, showing you the signs of being hit too much and getting hurt. The head is snapping back more frequently, and he's just not bouncing back, but even just throwing punches and trying. At least every round at the beginning, he came out swinging. Now he's fading definitely.
And apparently they did find new gloves for Nate Mr. Miller after experiencing some problems with the size of the gloves before the fight in the dressing room. We approach 20 seconds left in round 6.
Turn those hands loose. We got it. It's turning. It's turning.
Again, this is usually the area of the fight where Miller starts coming on. Boy, he snapped Heath's head back with that uppercut as we head for the bell.
Nothing with boss man. He's still standing upright, right in front of him.
Soft-spoken but dramatic words by Heath's trainer, Bob Miller. For a minute in round 6 it is, but halfway through, he hasn't won a round in our estimation. Round number 7 scheduled for 12 for the WBA Cruiserweight Championship. Nate Miller has the gold stripe.
And because of the knockdown the initial round, he's already passed the point of no return by winning a decision. So he's really got to be desperate and get desperate.
Well, Nate Miller, up until the Orlin Norris fight last July, never had a knockout after 7 rounds. So the feeling among opponents perhaps was get Miller into the later rounds. But lately, in 2 of his last 3 fights, he's had an 8th round knockout over Norris and a 9th round TKO over Brian LaSpada. So that theory may not apply anymore. We'll see. Right uppercut by Nate Miller to the chin of the boss man.
Boy, I have never seen a guy land so many hard uppercuts without effect. That's usually a very hard punch to take. I mean, and he's landed a great accuracy.
Miller loves going to the head, although earlier in the fight, we saw him going to the body.
No, he hasn't completely abandoned that body shot, but right now he appears to be a little tired himself when he's resting. He's not in any danger of losing a round, fighting when he wants to fight, and certainly right now that's all to his advantage.
No more.
The 3rd man in the ring, Carlos Barracal. Good shots by Nate Miller. A heavy right combination by Miller. But again, Heath stays up.
But there he's looking to do some damage and maybe take his man out. Something I think he'd done a little earlier, maybe 2 or 3 rounds ago, may have very well done it.
Yeah, he's waited a little long time, and his punches haven't got that steam that they had at the very beginning either. He's been punching away and to no effect.
you know, having been a champion, doesn't really appear to be a serious threat. A little piece of you doesn't go that extra mile in road work, or an extra couple rounds in the gym. Maybe that's the case here with Nate. He's not being pressed, so he's not pressing back.
Now, Miller on the chase had Heath backpedaling. I would think when you're fighting a man who is obviously of lesser quality than you, there's a tendency to let down and lose concentration. Oh, down he goes with a straight left. Heath is on the canvas.
That was right on the button. If he's got any sense, he'll stay down. He doesn't have any sense.
He gets up on 8, and it is waved off.
Yeah, his legs weren't under him. That's a good call. No sense in getting any further abuse and punishment.
It was the second time he went down in the fight, and he continues to be in a daze. James Heath, look at all the blood.
His face has been bloody. That last punch seemed to have popped open that building cut that was under there, and unfortunately, that one last cut did that.
So Nate Miller defends his WBA Cruiserweight title, leading from start to finish, and he ends it by putting James Heath on the canvas. Makes his third successful defense of the WBA Cruiserweight title. The 33-year-old Nate Mr. Miller from Germantown, Pennsylvania, ups his record to 29-4 now, and he also has 25 victories by knockout. A win over James Heath. TKO round 7. Unofficially 254.